Okay, so today we're deep diving into something I think pretty much everyone listening has either been through or will go through at some point.
Yeah.
Job interviews.
Big one.
You guys sent in a ton of great resources about how to really nail those interviews. And our mission is to kind of boil it all down to the most important stuff so you can make a killer impression and hopefully land that job you're after.
Yeah.
So we'll cover why these conversations are so crucial and maybe touch on some common mistakes people make.
Right.
And then we'll really dig into how to prepare, how to handle those tricky questions, the whole body language thing, and what to do after the interview is over.
Sounds good.
So you've got an interview coming up. Where do you even start? It's not just about polishing up that resume, right?
Right. It's really important to understand the company you're interviewing with, like their mission, their values, their culture.
Yeah, you got to do your research.
And any recent news or developments that might be relevant, like really go beyond just skimming their website.
I think that's such a good point because it shows you're really interested.
Exactly. And just as important is understanding the job description itself.
Yeah.
What are the core requirements? What are the specific skills and experiences they're looking for? And how do yours match up? This isn't just about checking boxes. It's about really understanding the challenges of the role.
And how you can contribute.
Right, and how you can contribute to solving them. And it's also really helpful to research common interview questions for your field.
Oh, that's smart. So you're not caught off guard.
Exactly. Knowing what to expect can make a huge difference in how you perform.
Definitely. So how about answering those questions, especially the ones about your experience? I've heard the STAR method is really helpful.
The STAR method is a great way to structure your answers.
Remind us what that is again?
It stands for situation, task, action, and result. Basically, you describe the situation you were in, the task you had to accomplish, the action you took, and the result you achieved.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
It helps you give concrete examples, which are always more impactful than just saying, I'm a good problem solver.
Right. Show, don't tell.
Exactly. And let's not forget about that all-important first impression. Tell me about yourself.
Ooh, that one.
I know, right? But it's your chance to make a strong opening statement.
So what do you recommend?
Keep it concise and relevant. Highlight 2 or 3 key achievements from your professional journey that directly relate to the role you're interviewing for. It's about making an immediate connection.
Okay, so make it count. Another question that seems to come up a lot is, why do you want this job?
Oh, yeah, they always ask that.
So how do you answer that without sounding generic?
It's all about showing genuine interest and enthusiasm. You need to demonstrate that you've done your homework and that you understand the company's goals and how this role fits into your broader career aspirations.
Yeah, I think that's key because they want to see that you're not just applying to any job. You're actually excited about this specific opportunity.
Absolutely. And speaking of tricky questions, what about the classic, what are your strengths and weaknesses?
I feel like that one's a trap.
It can be, but it's also an opportunity to show self-awareness. When talking about your weaknesses, be honest, but frame it in a way that highlights how you're actively working to improve. For example, you could say, I sometimes struggle with time management, but I'm using a new productivity app to help me stay on track.
Oh, that's clever.
And when you're talking about your strength, always back them up with those STAR method examples we talked about earlier.
Right, because it's one thing to say you're a strong communicator, but it's another thing to give a specific example of how your communication skills led to a positive outcome.
Exactly. And then there's the, where do you see yourself in 5 years question.
Ugh, I hate that one.
It's a tough one because you want to show ambition, but you also don't want to sound unrealistic.
So what's the best way to approach it?
I think it's about finding a balance. You want to express your desire for growth and development, but you also want to make sure your aspirations align with the company's goals and potential opportunities within the organization.
Okay, so it's all about aligning your goals with theirs. Now, we've talked a lot about how to answer interview questions, but what about how we present ourselves?
Body language and communication are so important.
Totally. It's not just what you say, but how you say it.
Nonverbal cues can speak volumes. First impressions start with how you dress. You want to make sure you're dressed professionally and appropriately for the company culture.
Yeah, I think that's something people sometimes forget about.
Definitely. And then during the interview itself, maintain good posture, make eye contact, and use open and inviting body language.
Yeah, right. Nodding and smiling to show you're engaged.
Exactly. These small things can make a big difference in how you're perceived.
And it's not just about what you do, but also what you don't do.
Like fidgeting.
Yeah, or using filler words like, like too much.
Those can be really distracting. It's important to speak clearly and confidently and to really listen to what the interviewer is saying.
I think active listening is so important in any conversation, but especially in a job interview.
It shows that you're genuinely interested and that you're paying attention.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of the basics, but what about those curveball questions that interviewers like to throw?
Oh, yeah, those can be tough.
Like salary expectations, for example. How do you handle that one?
Research is key. Before the interview, take some time to research industry standards for your experience level and the specific role you're applying for. That way, you'll have a realistic idea of what to expect.
And what if their expectations are way off from yours?
Be prepared to state your desired salary range confidently, but also be open to negotiation. It's a conversation, not a demand.
That makes sense. Another tough one is explaining gaps in your resume or reasons for leaving a previous job.
Honesty is the best policy, but keep it professional and focus on what you learned from those experiences and how you've grown.
Right. So if you were laid off, for example, you could talk about how you used that time to develop new skills or volunteer.
Exactly. It's all about framing those challenges in a positive light. And then, of course, there are those totally unexpected questions that you couldn't have prepared for.
The ones that make you go, huh?
In those situations, the goal isn't to have a perfect answer, but to demonstrate your problem-solving skills and your ability to think on your feet.
So take a deep breath and try to stay calm.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification if you need a moment to process the question. And remember, even if you don't have a perfect answer, your willingness to try is what matters.
That's good advice. So the interview is over, you survived. What's the best way to follow up?
A timely thank you email is essential.
How soon after the interview should you send it?
Ideally within 24 hours. You want to reiterate your interest in the position and thank the interviewer for their time.
And should you mention anything specific from the interview?
Yes, definitely. Bringing up something specific you discussed shows that you were paying attention and that you're genuinely interested.
That's a good tip. And what about following up after that? How much is too much?
Respect the timeline they give you. If they say they'll be in touch within a week, then wait a week before following up again. And when you do follow up, keep it brief and polite.
Okay, so no stalking.
No stalking.
Yeah.
And what if you don't get the job?
That's the worst feeling.
It is disappointing, but try to see it as a learning experience.
Oh.
If possible, ask for feedback from the interviewer. They might be able to give you some insights into why you weren't chosen.
And that can help you improve for next time.
Exactly. And remember, every interview, even if it doesn't lead to a job offer, is valuable practice.
So it's all about learning and growing.
Absolutely.
So to sum up, the key takeaways are prepare thoroughly, communicate strategically, present yourself confidently, and follow up thoughtfully.
Yeah, those are the big ones.
And remember, every interview is a step forward.
Even if it doesn't feel like it at the time.
Exactly. So one final thought for our listeners. As you're preparing for your next interview, try putting yourself in the interviewer's shoes.
That's interesting.
Think about their challenges, their goals for the role, and how you can help them achieve those things.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that kind of perspective taking can really make you stand out as a candidate.
Right, because it shows that you're not just thinking about yourself. You're thinking about the company and how you can contribute to their success.
That's a great way to end it.
All right, thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into job interviews.
You're welcome. It was fun.
And good luck to everyone out there on their job search.
You got this.